I am a Mocha Mom, and I am back to do a video in response to my girls' hair, the length of their hair, mainly due to the volume of comments I get asking me what I do, what I use to get their hair to grow so long. And I'm just here to answer that question. I'm not really interested in having a discussion about the disease that exists in our culture, not just for Black people, but for people in general in the pursuit of long hair because of the, I think, cross-cultural perception that long hair is beautiful. I appreciate and think long hair is beautiful, but I don't think that thought has to also lead to the conclusion that short hair is not beautiful. Anyone that knows me knows that the seasons in my life that I've enjoyed the most have been times when I've worn my hair in a teeny weeny afro, no longer than 2 to 3 inches long, close to my scalp. I've loved that time because I appreciate freedom, and I felt very beautiful, and my daughters have seen me in that season. So I'm pretty sure the message that their hair is only beautiful if it's long isn't happening in my house, and I hope it's not happening in your house. But what I've learned has been such a revelation to me that I really wanted to share it with you. When my oldest daughter was really young, I thought that I needed special products. I needed special techniques. My hands were in her head all the time. And I know now that I literally ripped whatever hair was growing out of her head right out of her head. I think that as a people, we tend to do too much styling. When we do styles, they're too tight. We suffocate their hair with products. We buy the lie that a lot of products are marketed to say that it will cause their hair to grow. But what I've learned with my girls is that I need to keep their hair clean. I need to keep their hair moist. I need to get rid of the shed hair. And then the rest is up to their bodies. I need to feed them well. I need to make sure they drink enough water. I need to make sure they get enough sleep and exercise. And their body will respond in being healthy enough to produce whatever the potential for them is. So I noticed most of all with Mocha Baby, primarily because of some of the things that I've learned with the other girls. I mean, my approach to her hair has been a lot different than it was with the other girls. But also because with 5 children and their needs shifting, I just really didn't have time to always be in her hair as much as I have been with the other girls. And there's nothing special about the texture of her hair. That's another fallacy we tend to have, you know, oh, I have Indian in my family, or I have Caucasian blood in my family, and that's why my hair has the potential to grow the way it does. But, you know, my girls, all their hair is different, and I've noticed the same response to what I've been doing with their hair. For example, with the older 2, their hair was breaking. Their hair was the same length every year. Their hair was dry. Their hair was dull looking. In fact, sometimes their hair breaks today and their hair looks dry and dull looking today. But I think the common factor is my attitude toward them has changed. I have lost the need for them to always be crisp and perfect. There was a time in my life when I wouldn't leave the house with them if there was any fuzz in sight. I'd be brushing, I'd be smoothing, I'd be doing the style over. And I've just changed in the belief that girls need to always be perfect and look perfect in a straight hair sense. I've embraced the idea that afro textured hair, it becomes fuzzy, it becomes frizzy, and it's a battle that I will lose if I always try to keep it smooth and perfect looking. So I've just released that. I think it's more important for them to enjoy themselves. I've stopped telling them stuff like, don't run through the sprinklers, I just did your hair. Or, you know, come here, let me put this head tie on your head, and I don't have the AC running and the house is hot and they're sweating. But the head tie is on their head so that their hair will stay smooth. I believe that just like anybody else, any other girls in any other cultures, they should have the freedom to run and play, get wet, get messy. And if we have to run to the store and they're a little messy, it's okay. And for me, this transformation in thinking kind of came into play out of my control. You know, I had a couple of difficult pregnancies where I had to be on bed rest and I wasn't able to stay on top of their hair the way I wanted to. And at that time, they all had so much hair that I honestly really didn't trust other people to do their hair without ripping it out of their head. And so I was forced to watch them live and be fuzzy and be frizzy. And what amazed me during that time was to see that their hair flourished. I was afraid that, you know, it would break off because I wasn't attending to it as much as I was before. But instead, I noticed their hair really, really flourished. MG2's hair in particular. You know, I struggled to keep moisture in her hair. But the day I stopped piling butters and oils on her hair in an effort to quote unquote moisturize, and I wasn't there not to let her dunk her head whenever she wanted to. When I would take her hair down for the next style, yeah, it was super fuzzy and frizzy, but when I put my hands in it, it was elastic. You know, it was growing. I hadn't broken an inch off the last styling session. And so I started to do these things on purpose. I started to leave their hair alone on purpose until I got to Mocha Baby, and then it became a situation where she was in a little teeny weeny afro for the first year of her life practically. I never did anything to her hair other than to finger detangle it, or, you know, when it was wet with conditioner in it, and to shape it into place until it got so big that she'd be leaning on the chair and it would be flat and she'd be walking around with like flat afro in the back, and I was like, okay, it's too long for that. Now I need to do something. Then I would move to like a couple of puffs, or, you know, but I'd make sure the base was kind of loose. And then I'd move into, and then when the puffs would get squashed and not look right anymore, I would twist the ends of the hair. But whatever I did, I made sure that from the time I was taking down the old style to the time I was done putting in the new style, I wasn't spending more than 20 minutes on her hair. And I did my level best not to do anything too tight. And again, water, moisture, gentle handling, just letting her be. And just taking overall good care of her. And her hair just flourished. Their hair just flourished. And so I don't have a big secret to share other than let them enjoy their lives. And let the hair care be in the periphery. And leave their hair alone as much as possible. And so if a product is working, if a shampoo is gentle, it's not stripping the hair too much. You know, conditioner has been up and down for me. You know, all the girls' hair don't like all the same things, but in general, I continue to use the same conditioners. I have a whole video on the different products that I use. They haven't changed much over the years. I'm one of those, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. I don't jump on bandwagons if I don't have to. If I'm not having a problem, it's not entertaining to me to try different products. Now, if it's entertaining to you, enjoy yourself. But for me, I have a shampoo, I have a conditioner, I use apple cider vinegar rinses all the time. I use oils like olive oil, shea butter, coconut oil. Not much has changed. But what has changed is my approach to what I think they need to be. I want them to be free. I want them to enjoy life. I don't want them to think they have to force their hair to do something it wasn't designed to do. And that's what makes them beautiful. So there you have it. That's my big secret. I hope that helps somebody. I hope that sets somebody free. Because this way of living is not always popular to the general public. I can't tell you how many times I've had a well-loving family member come up to me and tell me when I'm going to do their hair again, or why don't I brush and smooth their edges down so that their hair can look like it was done today. But you know, I don't get into arguments because I guess I'm at the point in my life where, you know, I'm going to do what I think is right to do. I'll hear you, but I won't necessarily change my behavior if I don't agree with what you're saying to me. So I hope that helps somebody. Be blessed.